Hello and welcome to another fun-filled nonsense retrospective. I'm your host as always, Rick. Joining me equally as always is Devon.
Oh, fuck. Good soldiers follow orders? That's a good enough quote, right? Does that still apply?
Yeah, that'll do. Today we're talking about The Bad Batch, specifically Season 2. But before we get too far into any of that, you all know the drill. We're going to start with our good old time-honored tradition of the nonsense asinine hypotheticals. And do you have one for me today?
I'm going to steal a segment from another gentleman's segment on a different podcast that's completely unrelated to our own. Namely, Rick, do we need them?
Good old Carl Pilkington.
So with that in mind, assuming there is absolutely no ecological repercussions, like you get to do it for free, there's no negative impact, you just remove the creature, and obviously you can't do this in real life, but fuck it, who gives a shit? Pick an animal, it's gotta go. Now you can be broad and say cats, but that would mean every single cat from lion to house cat, or you could be super specific, like the ibex, and only the ibex, because as we know, it's the dickhead of antelopes.
I'm going with the mosquitoes. This is one that this is one that's asked quite a lot. Like, if you can remove an animal, mosquito is my go-to. Yes, it's a food animal, but
I've already removed that problem for you.
Yeah.
The problem with getting rid of every mosquito without the no ecological impact rule is that, unfortunately, the reality is mosquitoes feed so many fucking creatures that if you get rid of them, it would devastate ecosystems.
Yeah. So frogs, for instance, they like eating mosquitoes. Like, a lot of the frogs and toads in Florida, for instance, just thrive on mosquitoes. Fish thrive on their bloodworm and everything. But yeah, when there's no repercussions, they gotta go. Like, spreading malaria, no. Being annoying, no. Biting you and making you bleed and just making you itch like a bitch, no. They don't have a single redeeming feature to a modern human.
This is very
They've
true.
gone. So, how about you? What would you remove from the universe if they had no ecological or otherwise impact?
Well, my answer was actually the same as yours. So I'm going to change it ever so slightly because it's the other animal that I fucking hate. And I think you know what I'm going to say. It's the bastard panda. I fucking hate them. They're so fucking useless. And I'm pretty sure you could take the panda out with no ecological repercussions. But, even if they did, fuck them. They're gone. Do you like pandas because they look cute? You're fucking part of the problem.
Yeah, and aren't all pandas in captivity licensed by the Chinese Communist Party?
Well, I don't know if that's technically correct. They are all owned by China. I don't know if the fine print says specifically the Communist Party.
Yeah, and they're loaned out as basically political favors, but they're also a super white elephant that you give this panda to a nation, and this nation now has to take care of the panda. Yes, they get a little bit of tourism because of the panda, but they have the burden of panda.
For real, man. Like Ueno Zoo, when I went there, they had pandas, and they were the only animals that didn't look miserable.
Yeah.
Their enclosure was 3 times the size of anyone else's. It was lush. It looked like Chinese jungle rather than everything else that was in a concrete paddock, which, speaks volumes, I suppose. Fuck them. They need to go.
Yeah, the ones in Edinburgh Zoo, they also had a big enclosure. Then again, it wasn't that big of an enclosure. It was just the fact that there was only 2 pandas that had it, and only one of them would be out at once because, if they're together when they're not breeding, they fight. So it's one of these things. The number of creatures that humanity have caused to go extinct, not least the dodo, versus the one that they're trying to keep alive, the panda, that's literally trying to extinct itself.
You know what? I'm legitimately bummed out about the dodo, because the reason why the dodos got fucked up, by the way, in case people didn't know, is they were super docile because they had no natural predators. So humans turned up and found out dodos taste fucking great. So it was very easy to catch them because they just come up like inquisitive puppies and then they get banged on the head and eaten. Not to mention the fact that human settlers also had dogs, and because they came on ships, they brought rats.
Yes. So it was like a triple whammy. Like the bonk on the head thing was a double thing, that one of them would come up to see what the human was doing, get bonked and eat, and then another one would come to see where their dodo friend had gone, get bonked and eat. Like, they didn't do themselves any favours.
Well, that's just it though, isn't it? Like, if you evolve with no natural predators, you have got no survival instinct because you just live.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, totally.
I'm sure there's a metaphor in there about, getting rid of war, but whatever. But yeah, I think, gloss over that, shall we? But yeah, I think those were two solid fucking answers. Not least because your answer was kind of my answer as well, because it's just such a no-brainer.
Yeah, my primary answer was your primary answer, so you got the benefit of falling back on your your heart answer rather than your head answer.
Well, with that in mind then, Rick, do you want to give your heart answer as well, seeing as I had the opportunity to vent about pandas?
Like, to be honest, do mosquitoes again.
You can't do mosquitoes again. But yeah, if you want to move on, we'll move on.
Yeah, we'll move on. My one for you is you get to add a supernatural being or species like mummies or vampires or werewolves to an existing franchise that doesn't have them. What do you pick? What franchise do you choose? And what is their effect?
Man, you were right when you said you had a broad question today. Not least of all because most of the things I think of kind of have analogues to most supernatural beings.
Yeah, like adding werewolves to Dark Souls. Technically, they don't have werewolves, but they got like literally everything else apart from being called werewolf.
I mean, Dark Souls 3 has lycanthropes. You just don't see them in human form. And then you make the jump to fucking Bloodborne.
Yeah, and there's the dude that turns into a beast as soon as you attack him. And if you don't attack him, then he kills everyone in the place that you send him to.
Well, yeah, but you send him to Yosefka, so he's not a problem.
Yeah, he gets turned into a grey, and you can loot him.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's something I'm gonna have to think about for a second. So here's me trying to fill time as I think. Like, I can't even say something like Game of Thrones because White Walkers is the supernatural element in that, and that's just zombies. Like, vampires are just super zombies. I'm oversimplifying it a bit, and werewolves kind of exist in the sense that wargs exist and they can take over wolves' brains. So can't do anything fun with that. Obviously, Pokemon and Digimon's a moot point because they've got things that will kick their ass and/or are just analogues anyway.
Yeah. Now here's a fun one. Like, adding things to Pokemon would be kind of funny if it's very obviously a part human creature and people just treat it like a Pokemon anyway. So you just add Gorgons to Pokemon, for instance, and like there's these people trying to catch Medusa the Gorgon as like a legendary Pokemon.
Yeah, but here's the problem with that one is that everyone would immediately flip their shit for this new species of Pokemon because they're like, oh man, it knows more than 4 moves.
Yep, and it can speak without being called Meowth or Mewtwo.
Or any psychic type. But,
yeah.
Anyway, I think I've managed to come up with something. I don't know if it's the most ingenious, but broad question gets a broad answer. I'd put a special combat mode into Fire Emblem. We'll put either Free Houses or Engage. Those are the two most recent ones. I'd put a special mode in where it's basically vampire mode, and you fight on a vampire map. You fight against vampires, a la Dracula and Alucard and whatever the girl one's called from Castlevania. And if you're it's a special game mode, so you don't have the infinite respawn thing. It's not a campaign, it's just a one-time deal map, special DLC crossover. If one of your units gets beaten in combat, they turn into a thrall and instantly work for the other side. You can't get them back.
Okay.
So try not to lose any units, motherfucker. But yes,
I like that.
This was your question, so hopefully you've got a more thought-out answer than I do.
Well, yes, they've kind of already got zombies in Star Wars, but they don't actually have a straight-up vampire, I don't think.
Oh, I bet you they fucking do.
Oh, yeah, totally. So, oh shit, they've even got werewolf. It's spelt wrong, but it's from the worst Star Wars book. Oh, wank.
Did you not do suitable research on your own fucking question?
I was going to put werewolves in Star Wars, but I remembered that they've now got a thing called a werewolf that's spelt with like
a Y.
Yeah, it's spelt with a Y, and the wolf is with a U. And apparently it's like a Pokemon. It starts out as like a really cute wolf, and then it turns into just like a normal humanoid that's like got 6 arms.
Yeah, that's normal.
Yeah. Oh man, but it's a 6-legged wolf, which is why it's meant to be. You've got some kind of parity between the two, but they enter like a cocoon stage at some point, and then completely change what the fuck they are. It's stupid. This is the one that also has the eldritch horror thing that eats itself and disappears up its own arsehole rather than be destroyed.
Are we still talking about Star Wars?
Yeah, it's the worst Star Wars book.
If it's any consolation, it's probably no longer canon.
Oh, it's definitely no longer canon. It's called the Crystal Star. They do some interesting things, like the solo kids slow down the atomic bounce rate of water and turn it into ice with force. Like, when you get down to it, just using science on matter with the force would do something like that. But that's like the only redeeming feature of the entire fucking book.
So you hit it here first, folks. You can do as much bullshit, stupid sci-fi stuff you want in your science fiction novel, as long as at one point you get to use space magic to do that said science bullshit.
Yeah. Like, this is nothing that a fridge couldn't solve, but they all they had at the time was the Force, and when your only tool is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'd put werewolves into Star Wars.
I thought we were discounting this, but okay, I guess we're still doing it.
Yeah, I'm putting proper werewolves into Star Wars, proper lycanthropes, and I'm probably going to put them into stories alongside like Death Troopers and things like that, or not Death Troopers, Plague Troopers, the ones that are actually dead. So you've actually got a different supernatural being to contend with, and possibly one that you can ally with against something that is like an existential threat of just dead stormtroopers.
Yes, but is a werewolf going to be more terrifying than a wampa, especially a wampa in what was the fucking game with the fucking dash render?
Oh, Shadows of the Empire.
Yeah, where on the first level you're on Hoth, and if you let the wampa out, just say fucking rip to everyone, including yourself.
Yeah, well, because it's lycanthropes, you can be anything. So there might even be a strain of werewampa.
Rick, I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's your question and it's your fantasy booking, but I don't have to like it, sir.
Yeah. Well, it's like werebears for Star Wars. But yeah, we're going to be talking about The Bad Batch. So, last time we talked about it pretty much episode by episode. I think we're going to be doing pretty much the same thing this time. We start with episode 1, Spoils of War.
I will say this, we're probably going to skim over a lot more episodes, because despite every episode being fun, and even the filler was fun, there was some fucking filler.
Oh yes, definitely.
But you say we start with episode 1. In reality, we're starting with episode 1/2, because it's a two-parter. Didn't mean to talk over you there, sorry.
Yeah, we spoke about it on the main show when we were watching it, but yeah, very definitely existential crisis, then going into pod racing.
Well, let's just straight up fucking say it, right? The episode title is The Solitary Clone. Pretty fucking dramatic. And the next episode is called Faster!
Yeah. Yeah, episode 1 and 2. The Bad Batch, Clone Force 99, Havoc Squad, whatever you want to call them, minus Crosshair for obvious reasons, go to try and raid Count Dooku's bank account on his homeworld of Sereno.
Yeah, I was quite interested by this because, he would have a war chest and it would be left over. However, of course the Empire knows everything about it already because the Empire was his boss.
Or at least Sidious was his boss.
I don't remember if I said this on the main show or not, but I'll say it here just for good measure. I did not recognise Omega for about 5 minutes because of her growth spurt and design change. I was like, oh fuck, yeah, of course, because it's been like at least a year in universe, I assume, with the Bad Batch doing missions.
Yeah, she's had a little growth spurt. Like, it was very easy for me to just accept it and move on.
Oh, I accepted it and moved on. It just took me a minute to trig that it was Omega talking, despite it being her fucking voice.
Yeah. So yeah, she takes the most risks in these 2 episodes. She kind of disregards her own well-being more than she should to make sure that the crew has enough to eat.
Yeah, these first 2 episodes were slightly annoying on the Omega aspect, just because I thought we were over this.
Yeah.
And this is more or less the last time it shows up. Like, she still has occasional outbursts of, no, I need to do this, and usually they pay off because she doesn't do it all the fucking time anymore. But, it was very frustrating, but yeah, we got over it.
I think the best example of it is when, towards the end, Wrecker goes, I can't stealth. Omega, go stealth. The entire gang is, recognizing what her talent are.
Yeah, that is certainly part of it, for sure.
But yeah, so the main character we meet here is a Sereno native who the gang treat as a separatist, but he's like, no, before I was lumped in with all of that, I was a native of this planet.
Doesn't he even make a point of saying that Dooku pissed off a lot of people?
Yes.
A lot of people, pretty much everyone on the planet who wasn't aligned with Dooku's views pretty much went underground and have been since the Clone Wars started. And I do like this old man trying to fucking make Omega remember she's a kid.
Even though she's older than the rest of the clones.
That's a technicality and you know it.
Yeah, definitely. Because the other clones have had basically, information and maturity plugged into their brains.
Yeah, because that's the thing you got to remember is the thing thing that they've got that advances aging physically, but also it kickstarts maturity. Like the least mature you're going to be is literally puberty.
Yeah.
For most people, anyway.
Yeah. Because even when they're at the kid Boba stage, like they're already being conditioned into being warriors.
There's a lot of ethical fucked up stuff to go on with the clones. To be honest.
Totally. Like the fact that they treat like barely human equipment is like a big deal in this series.
It is
this season in particular.
It's in case you forgot that essentially the universe as a whole treats clones as droids but with skin.
Yeah. They even say like decommission the clone as if they're just another piece of equipment.
Yeah, okay, yeah, they do, but at the same time, when soldiers are being paid, they're considered as commissioned.
Oh yeah, totally. But they weren't intending to give them pensions until it was fought for.
Yeah, I mean they never did give them pensions, did they?
No, they ended up not doing it. As we even see in Kenobi, there's like still a hobo clone that Obi-Wan comes across,
and there's a 95% chance that clone recognised Obi-Wan and just didn't say a fucking word.
Yep, because snitches get stitches, and it's been quite a while since he heard Order 66 in his brain.
Well, considering he was homeless and essentially begging, I imagine that he had more similarities with the Jedi at that point than he did with a stormtrooper.
Yeah, totally.
Man, we got a bit off topic, but yeah, well, it's not off topic, but strayed from the path, shall we say?
But yeah, the raid on Dooku's war chest essentially mostly fails.
I'd say it entirely fails. Did they even get a chest? I can't remember.
I think they got a couple of coins out of it, like basically nothing.
Like it wasn't worth it.
No, definitely not. Next one we go into is Replacement. Oh, no, that's season 1, sorry. It's the Solitary Clone.
Well, just very quickly, is at the end of the second episode here, Vice Admiral Rampart learns that the reason why Clone Force 99 has been able to actually do a bunch of stuff is because most of the people on the other team think they're dead and gone because of Kamino. Gone.
Admiral Rampart in particular is there just covering up their tracks within the Empire because he wants to be the one to tie off all loose ends and claim all credit for it. So yes, they're technically being helped by the villain against their knowledge.
Well, then this aspect's not really being helped for because he still knows he has to deal with it, but he's just covered. Yeah, I guess he is kind of helping them, but he's not. This was the first time in the series I got truly frustrated with the bad guys because there's a clone trooper that straight up reports to Rampart and says, "Look, I think it was this," and he goes, "Cool, you shut your fucking mouth," and the trooper's like, "Well, I'm not going to do that," and then he gets shot in the fucking head, and and it's just like, why?
Yeah, it's frustrating, but as we learn later, Rampart is the starter villain.
Oh, Rampart's the fucking patsy.
But yes, episode 3, the Solitary Clone. This is Crosshair is assigned to Cody, and this is Cody's time to like tap out and become a free agent, as it were.
Yeah, I've got to admit this was probably my favourite episode for the longest time.
Like, I think so, yeah, because it's showing a more intricate version of the birth of the Empire, because Cody was the one that was with Obi-Wan, and he's the only one that gets a name in the original movies.
Yeah, I don't think even Rex doesn't show up in the movies at all, does he?
Yeah, Rex was brand new. Like, when I first saw the Clone Wars movie, which was just a long episode, I was like, why have they made a new character when they already had Commander Cody? And I'm like, okay. A few years later, Rex grew on me.
I think Rex grew on everyone.
Yeah, Rex grew on everyone. It helped that he was like a super ARC trooper, so, that he was cool.
All of the clone troopers are cool when they're allowed to be characters.
Yes. Zoom in on any clone, give them a character, they're cool. Zoom out, turn them into cannon fodder, and they're just droid.
Like, I got linked something not too long ago of best death scenes, and one of them was a clone trooper whose name escapes me. He was a grenade specialist, and I believe he was actually partnered with Rex for a mission, and
sure.
they escape the thing. He stays behind, and he has to manually detonate a bomb thing. He crawls to the detonator thing. A bunch of droids surround him, and they have their blasters pointed at him, and they just go, "Do we take prisoners?" And the trooper just goes, "I don't," and fucking slams it and blows up the building. It's fucking epic.
Yeah. Good old clone mentality.
Yeah, man. But the thing is all the other clones in the squad are still have radio communication and are screaming for him to just leave it.
Yeah. Apparently, Crosshair brings up that other clones have also been rebelling. So this is the first time that we get to know this as viewers, even though...
Yeah, us as viewers, but, like, I consider myself a rather casual Star Wars fan, in that because if I compare myself to you, I am. But even I'm aware that clone troopers deserted in droves after a certain point.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, like we say, this is the one where Crosshair stays with the Empire and he keeps doing his good soldiers follow orders thing of my country, right or wrong, and Rex ain't about that. And Cody's not about that, and Cody leaves.
Yeah, like, in case you wanted... Okay, here's the thing, is I knew that Separatist leader was dying the moment that the episode started, but it still really fucked me off that Crosshair pulled the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
It's perfectly in line with the character, but I was really mad at... I was really angry at Crosshair. And, like, it just... He's made it apparent, Crosshair that is, that he's not under the inhibitor chip's influence. These are all decisions that he is deciding to make.
Yeah.
And
well, it's one of those, like, he could have lied about it, but why would he?
Well, here's the thing, is, again, the Empire and the Imperial officers are making it a point time and time and again that they don't see the clones as humans, and Crosshair got his first extra taste of that when he reported to the Admiral dude.
Yeah, Rampart.
Yeah, when he reported to Rampart and said, I'm not being assigned to Cody, and he just goes, who the fuck's Cody? And he has to give the number because, you know, you're not a human.
Yeah. Like, even he doesn't have a human name when he talks to Rampart. The only person that uses his name
are other clones.
Yeah, and that's also a plot point later.
I use my words very carefully.
So yes, we get to episode 4, which is let's go from existential crisis and a crisis of faith and like defecting from the actual country that you serve to yay racing.
For real, I actually like this episode, but because I was watching pretty much when there was like 3 episodes left to come out, I watched this straight after the last one, and boy is it fucking jarring.
Yeah.
Go on.
The droid that's introduced in this, Teo, is voiced by Ben Schwartz, who also voices Sonic in the Sonic movie, which is why, you know, he's smug and wants to go fast.
Didn't you also say this fella is the fella who's always on the phone and everything?
I think so. He's the...
You said he was in Renfield.
Yes, he's the secondary... Well, he's the villain in Renfield.
Yeah, he's...
Or the rival character in Renfield.
Rival in quotation marks, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen this actor in... He's in
Parks and Rec.
Yeah, but I haven't seen that. But I watched Space Force, and he's in that, and he's always got the same shtick, and that is he's annoying millennial, always on the phone.
Yeah. Yeah, they already had that in Parks and Rec with Tom, so they just made him into just a double annoying person.
That's fair. This is the first episode where Tech gets a lot of focus, and in hindsight, it's very obvious why Tech gets a lot of episodes this season.
Yes. Yeah, it's one of those where, Tech is possibly the best person for the job for what they do with this, because he brings it up later in the series that they've been alluding to him being, you know, on the spectrum, and it makes him think differently, makes him disregard his own safety when he can logic his way into danger and out of it in the same plan.
But that's just it, isn't it? It's like, even before this season, Tech has always acted more machine than man, and not to knock anyone who's on the spectrum, but that's kind of been his gimmick.
Yeah, even next to Echo, who literally is more machine than man.
Yeah, but Echo's a bog standard clone trooper in every other regard.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of that's the narrative juxtaposition of the two. That Tech has been raised with his differences and has leaned into it, whereas Echo has had these differences thrust upon him, and if it weren't for the fact that he was captured and turned into a droid brain, that he would just be a normal clone or dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tech did good in this episode. I got really fucking annoyed at the end with Sid getting off the hook and the main villain character going, "Don't trust Sid," because I was like, I thought Clone Force 99 already didn't trust Sid.
Yeah, it's one of these where Sid has been generally reasonable.
No, she hasn't. I think you've forgotten most of season 1. Yeah,
and even when they're bargaining with her, she's like, "Okay, just this once, I'll give you almost an equal share as a token of good faith," and it's still like she's keeping the fucking lion's share of everything that they do.
Yeah, no, her whole gimmick is, I'm helping you out, and the reason why I'm taking a shit ton of your money, essentially, is because I've not turned you into the Empire yet.
Yep,
She always has that unspoken threat hanging above the Force's head, and they never seem to take it seriously, and it really fucks me off the way this season ends.
Yeah, later in the season, it's less of an unspoken threat and more of a spoken threat when when they've not reported to her in quite some time.
Yeah, that's just it. I can't remember what episode it is, but there's an episode where Hunter just straight up says, "Yeah, no, we're not going back there."
Yep. I think it's at the start of the New Home arc.
It happens way before then, I think.
Yeah, but yeah, next episode we get Fee.
Yeah, they try really, they really push Fee and Tech maybe being a thing, but they never quite pull the trigger on it.
And it's all on Fee's side. Like, she likes him, she thinks he deserves, a hug, and he's like, I'm standing here because it's the optimal place to stand.
Yeah, and us as viewers all know that Tech's fucking lying.
Yeah.
But it's one of those where, like, I think here's the thing, because of the nature of Fee's character in that she's effectively a pirate, but a good pirate, she is always going to be on the flirtatious side and use double entendres and just be suggestive. That won't work on Tech.
No. To the point that if it was going to work on him at any point, the way that it would work would be to go, aha, you used a double entendre. What you actually said was this, but what you actually meant to say was your vagina. For something like that. I can see that
hearing those words actually made me uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly. But here's the thing. That's how Tech feels all the time.
Yeah.
When someone tries to use something like that on him. Having it pointed out takes all the fun out of it.
Oh, it's just overtly saying, I want you to smash my vagina sounds like a gross turn of phrase. I like the prettying up of sex talk.
Man, all I can think of after when you said smash my vagina was the Robo Gyarados with a fucking hammer.
Okay, I get what you're saying, but as soon as you said that, my brain actually went to South Park and Cartman being a dick because he doesn't know how girls work.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, this episode's the episode which I warned you about a little bit and said, yo, look out for the end of episode 5 because Arceus shows up.
Yes, yeah, it was cool, wasn't it?
It's just Arceus, but made of machines. Like, look at the design next to Arceus. I'm not exaggerating.
Totally. It reminds me a lot of the Horizon Zero Dawn dinosaur robots as well.
I didn't play that game, so I'm blissfully unaware.
I've not played it, but, like, I've seen them.
Here's the thing, is I don't look at stuff from games if I have no intent on playing them, you know?
Okay. But, like, the one that's on the box art or whatever, it's basically a Brachiosaurus with, like, a triangle for a head.
Sure. So what you're describing is a Megazord.
Yeah. And, nobody knows where this giant droid thing came from, but it was buried there for a long-ass time. But yeah, it starts doing its Godzilla blast, and, yeah, they basically shut it down with a self-destruct.
Yeah, the very thing they sought, they had to give up.
Yep. But, yeah, this is basically Fee's major introductory episode.
Yeah, like, I believe she's in the beginning of the first episode just talking a bit of shit, but this is the one where she actually joins the batch for a mission, and it's quite a fun episode. You could watch this episode on your own and be fine. Not on your own, on its own.
Yeah. Next we have Gunji, the tribe episode with little Jedi Wookiee boy.
Okay, here's the thing, is I haven't watched all the Clone Wars. I didn't know Gungi was a thing, so I was like, oh, it's a Wookiee, that's fucked up. And then when he pulled out a lightsaber, I shit you not, I yelled at my TV, shouting, Wookiee Jedi! Wookiee Jedi! Why? Yes!
The only other Wookiee Jedi that I know of in the old canon was Chewbacca's nephew.
Yeah, because all of the fucking main cast had kids or, young relatives that ended up being Luke's pupil.
Yeah. Chewbacca had a son called, like, Lumpy or something, but his nephew was Lowbacca, which is just a way better name. But Lumpy appears in the Star Wars special, so of course it's got to be shit.
I feel like all of these names are not good, Rick.
Oh, yeah,
why would you name your kid Lumpy?
Well, it's I think it's actually Lumpawarump.
That's not better.
because Chewbacca gets shortened to Chewie, Lumpawarump gets shortened to Lumpy.
Oh.
So you got Chewie and Lumpy, the two things that you don't want your custard to be.
You're describing Ratsick.
Oh, man.
Oh, goodness. But yeah, this episode's a nice bit of change of pace, but mostly because we get a change of scenery in the form of Kashyyyk.
Yeah, we do. We get Omega being able to, have a friend in Gungi.
Yeah. Also, we get to reiterate that Trandoshans are bastards.
Oh, yeah. They hunt Wookiees for sport, which is why it's such a big deal that Black Kasantan has, like, multiple Trando pelt, because he's, like, turning it back on them.
I really want to see that character's fucking origin story on film.
Yeah.
Just give me something. Like, that character just stood around being... Like, I sent you a picture of him after his debut, despite not knowing much about the character, because all you needed was his first episode, and it was just like the very definition of fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
I want to see him kicking ass and taking names, which he only got to do for about 2 minutes because Boba Fett's show was about Boba Fett.
And Boba Fett has to win. And then Kasantan just becomes, like, basically... He fills the role that, like, the Hulk fills in the Avengers. So when he's zoomed out from himself, he's just a muscle, and he gets sent to do muscle things. And he's also the one that gets fucked up the most, apart from Boba.
Yeah, because he fucking took names.
Yeah.
Put Cad Bane against him, and I bet you the Wookiee wins. Not because he's a better shot, but because he could probably take a couple and get within striking range.
Depends how far apart they start, but yes.
I mean, fuck me, Boba took him in melee.
Yeah. If you can get into melee with Cad Bane, you might win, because Cad Bane is a better shot than anything else.
Like, oh, dude, like, I love the... I love... I'll say this time and time again. It's a reference to Season 1, where Cad Bane showed up in Bad Batch. See, it is relevant. Fuck you. Yeah, where Hunter and Cad Bane had a fucking showdown. Proper fucking Western style. And the reason why Cad Bane is awesome is because he knows when he has time to aim.
Yeah.
He sees Hunter and he goes, he could probably actually outshoot me, but I could beat him on the draw.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those where one of the biggest skills for veteran bounty hunters is knowing what style to go for when taking on an opponent. Like, if Cad Bane had to fight the Wookiee in question, I can't remember how to say his name.
What, Black Kasantan?
Yeah, that's the one, because it's not spelt like that.
Yeah, well, it's Krr Santan.
But yeah, I imagine Cad Bane would do absolutely everything in his power not to get close. Like, the only reason he slipped up with Boba is Boba learnt all his melee skills when Cad Bane had fucked off.
Yeah.
Tangent aside. Sorry, go on.
This episode gets solved by the Wookiees asking the trees very nicely to ask the spiders very nicely to murder all the Trandos, so they do.
Yeah, so this is probably what was... You know how the story goes that originally the ending of Jedi was going to be taking place on Kashyyyk rather than Endor's moon?
Yes.
So this is probably like the best middle ground and best example to see what that would have been like.
Yeah, because last time we saw Kashyyyk, we saw the coast.
Yeah.
Which is like the least Kashyyyk bit of Kashyyyk ever.
It's also the bit of Kashyyyk they fucking put in Star Wars Battlefront 2 for the PlayStation 2.
Oh yeah, because they already had like what that bit of it looked like. Whereas, yeah, most of Kashyyyk is
thick ass jungle.
Endor squared. Yeah, it's Endor squared. Like colossal trees. It just so threw me when I was watching it for the first time that was meant to be Kashyyyk, because it just looks like a nice beach to go and visit. Except droids are there.
We did get to see those dumb vehicles again, though, with the giant fucking rings that are useless.
Yeah.
I love those things just because they look cool.
Yeah.
Pointless, but cool.
And yeah, I think this is actually the closest thing to a happy ending that they achieve. Like, they get Gungi home to his tribe, they drive out the Trandos, and they just move on with their life. Then we get to the clone conspiracy.
Well, 1 second, we did get an awesome scene of everyone hates Wookiee food except Wrecker, who fucking loves it.
No, Wrecker loves any food.
But Wrecker just fucking takes the fucking whole bowl off of them and starts chugging it down, and everyone looks at him weird except the Wookiees, who are getting fucking hype.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you say, the next episode is a two-parter, and I wasn't watching along currently with the show at the time, so these two actually released on the same day, which good, two-parters should.
Yes, I think the first two released on the same day as well, didn't they?
They did indeed.
Yeah, so we've got The Clones Conspiracy and Truth and Consequences at 7 and 8.
This
is the mid-season.
It is. These are some pretty serious episodes, big plot goes down.
Yeah, we get the new character, Senator Chuchi, who, for the first, however long, I thought was just Omega in disguise.
Yeah,
they've got the same voice.
Yeah, I never saw it.
And then later on, obviously it's not Omega, and when we see her next to Omega is even shorter, and it's just that Chuchi is from a smaller race, but not as short as a child.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I did make the same assumption that you did with the sniper.
Yeah, like, they go so hard in on making it look like it's very obviously Crosshair to the point that it can't possibly be.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, that's probably Crosshair, and then you think about it for 2 seconds, and you're like, actually, it looks a bit too skinny to be Crosshair. Or, not skinny, the armour looks too skinny, you know what I mean?
The armour looks too basic for Crosshair, yeah. Apparently, the clone's name is Clone X.
Who gives a fuck? He's gone.
Yeah, he's the first of many that give us the cop-out of, oh, I'm going to bite my teeth and electrocute myself to death, so you're not going to get out.
Yeah, like, in case you wanted more references to Nazis, this was a very common thing, more so with high-ranking ones than people they'd send on fucking hits and actual soldiers, where a lot of high-ranking Nazis would have cyanide on them. There are stories of some having them put into teeth, but I've never seen them verified. That seems to be the thing made up by spy novels. But yeah, a very common thing is, oh, the enemy's coming, I've done some shit and I am guilty, so...
Yeah, totally. Like, they're not going to torture it out of me. I might as well take this on my own terms. Like, the problem with putting it in your teeth is if you get, like, a cavity and it just starts leaking.
Well, yeah, but again, not really a thing that can happen with the technical, magical world of Star Wars.
Nah. But yeah, we see a couple of other people in this, like this...
I'm sorry, Rick, I'm sorry. I just need to get this out, where it would be awful for me, because if there's any slight change to my teeth, I keep poking that area with my tongue, and I could just...
Oh, totally.
Just like, we've put cyanide in this tooth, all you need to do is crunch really hard on this one specific spot, and there's me 5 minutes later just constantly jabbing at it with my teeth, and 10 minutes later, mysteriously died.
Yeah, mysteriously died and there's a smell of almond. Mysterious smell of almonds. Yeah.
That's the fucking name of the episode if we were allowed to.
Yeah, so we see, like, the inner workings of the Senate, how Palpatine does not give 1/10 of a fuck about what the senators do until he does.
It's one of those where we're at that tentative stage where he's taken the role of Emperor, but he's not completely dominated the Senate yet. He's still putting on the charade.
Yeah, he's done the thing where he says the Senate will be organised into the First Galactic Empire, and then he fucked off to his bedroom and, like, I don't know, played Mario Kart in his pyjamas.
No, what he was doing is he was fucking masturbating to the thought of, like, I've finally done it. Oh, and Vader's a little bitch.
Making Vader watch.
Oh no, you can't do that.
Using Vader's old hand.
Okay.
He had replaced. Yeah,
okay, it's no longer funny now. You've taken it too far. It's not funny anymore.
What was her name, Vader? Padamami? Oh.
Oh no, my Padamame.
But yeah, the whole point was that other people are now starting to suspect Rampart, other than, you know, our guys, and the fact that we as viewers have been watching Rampart, and it leads into the second part of this episode where Rex gets tells them about the Rampart's Venator class Star Destroyer, which is currently parked, and they can go and find all of the data and just download all his emails and prove that he's been a little bitch.
Yeah, and in typical Star Wars fucking fashion, they literally get it in 2 seconds before the cut-off point.
Yeah, the whole thing of in Star Wars, like, travel time is bullshit.
Like, it happened in Clone Wars with Ahsoka's trial, is Anakin managed to fix it 2 seconds before she was sentenced.
Yes.
It's a trope at this point, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, like it's super convenient timing.
And Star Wars isn't the only one that's guilty of it, but we're talking about Star Wars, so we're going to point at Star Wars examples.
Yep. It's most egregious in the episodes because there's many of the episodes, but it also happens in the movies as well. So
yeah, movies is a bit more forgivable because you got a runtime.
Yeah, like the biggest one in the movies was when, in my opinion, is when the clone troopers show up in Attack of the Clones. Like,
oh yeah, that one was fucking bullshit, but at the same time, it was clearly put in because this will look cool.
Yeah. Although they did have like the 2-second foreshadowing of all the Jedi just popping up in the Colosseum in the wing.
I do love how, like, and yes, we'll bring it up like every other person who talks about it brings it up, that Samuel L. Jackson's, one of the reasons why he wanted a purple lightsaber wasn't just because he likes purple, although that was a motivating factor. It was because he knew there was this giant arena battle scene and he wanted to be able to see himself.
Yeah.
And I gotta be honest with you, I respect that.
Yeah, totally.
Also, don't forget his lightsaber hilt has bad motherfucker written on it.
Yeah. But yeah, we glossed a bit over Clone X, but you know, he's just an assassin. He gets dealt with. In this one, Rampart he actually does get thrown under the bus. So when they get all the data, Palpatine just comes up and goes, "Yeah, you fucked up, you dickhead." Just gets him court-martialed.
Yeah, this is another example of Palpatine's planning. In that every time Palpatine makes a plan, he wins no matter what, because he's got Plan A and he's got Plan B. The Galactic Civil War was great because it didn't matter what side won.
Yeah.
And then you got this where, okay, if Rampart is as competent as he claims he is, and I have my fucking doubts, then this will go nice and smoothly. If Rampart inevitably fucks this up, this is what I'm going to do instead.
Yeah, take the parts that I want from the bill that you put forward, galvanize the entire Senate in Palpatine's favor, and then everything goes just planned.
Yep.
So yeah, after that, we get into The Crossing.
Yeah, this is another 2-part episode, but this one had a week gap.
Yeah, so Echo leaves at the end of Truth and Consequences.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, this ending actually broke my heart, because, hey, here's a trick for you guys, anyone who's making any sort of form of media. I don't give a fuck if a character leaves or a character dies, apart from in very specific examples. But it's not usually the character leaving or dying that will hit me. It's characters' reactions to it, and Omega is fucking perfect at it.
Yeah.
Twice I felt awful during this season. Once when Echo fucked off, and then later on when the other thing happens.
Yeah. I mean, Omega feels the same way about Crosshair to a degree. Like, not even to a degree, like almost to the same level.
Yeah, but we don't see her.
Times.
We don't see her say goodbye to Crosshair. That's what the key difference is here.
Yeah. But yeah, this is the first real episode without Echo. They go to the mine and they get the ship nicked and they get trapped.
Yeah, this is the episode, and this episode and the following one, where it's cemented that Sid's a dickhead.
Yes.
Now, bear in mind that at this point in time, the Bad Batch / Clone Force 99 has officially saved Sid's life at least on one occasion.
Yeah, life at least once, and fortune more than one.
I think it's implied life in the sense that Sid would have had to either have done seedy shit or taken a real pummeling, or beating, I should say, to pay those debts otherwise. Because I think it's implied Sid actually isn't that rich.
Yeah.
Sid is like Del Boy, alright? And in the sense that she has a constant flow of income, but it immediately gets pissed away on her next get-rich-quick scheme, and she never stops and thinks. She always is constantly on the go, and it's to her detriment because she's not good at it.
Yeah, everything is a chain of deals. She's like, her entire empire is built upon a house of cards, and she's trying to make that into a McMansion.
Like, she could make a lot of things work, but unfortunately, the reality is, the line of work that she has chosen, it's never going to work unless she establishes connections, and as we've seen, every connection she makes, she fucking burns in favour of another one.
Yeah. So she starts by bargaining real hard, and this is where she acquiesces to a small increase in their pay. And also, when they ask her for help, she's like, "Nah, I'm busy. Yeah, I'm in a real bind here right now. I can't be sending additional mercenaries to go and bail out my original mercenaries. Do it yourself."
Sid does say that she will send help, but it'll be a few days. And guess what? A few days is too long.
Yeah, especially when you're, starving right now.
Well, starving isn't even the issue in this. The issue in this is their fucking ship got nicked.
Yeah, the ship got nicked. They don't have any water. They're stuck in a cave. Yeah. And the next episode is the resolution of this. They track down the kid who stole the ship, and it is a kid.
Yeah.
And it's Fagin all over again.
It's not even Fagin, because a lot of the people working under him are also adults. It's literally fuck me. Literally capitalism is what it is. Like, it's like, here's the big boss at the top, and he's like, "Oh, we're having hard times, everyone's got to pull together," but the only people having hard times are the people working under him who he's not fucking paying.
Yeah, like, the workers are, like, damn near starved, and he's just having these, like, Jabba the Hutt table manners feasts, where he's just like, he can barely stop drinking from one cup, because the cup in his other hand is waiting to be drunk from.
Yeah,
and then his third hand has a chicken leg.
It's one of the most disgusting scenes I've ever seen in Star Wars. It's just, especially coupled with, in the next scene, he gives one bowl of gruel to an entire room full of workers.
Yeah, and they all just go at it with spoons, and anyone who gets a second spoonful has officially won that encounter.
Well, sorry, the person on the top of the leaderboard gets a whole bowl to themselves, which, and we find out later on in the episode that it's all through deception that this guy has managed to keep these people in line, because they overpower him stupidly easily.
Yeah, like, he's lying to them about how much money they're making, skimming everything off the top, and it's as soon as they are told that, these mines are incredibly profitable, they all turn on him, and even the droids are relatively easily dealt with, because, we've got the Bad Batch with us at this point.
Yeah, and they're just bog standard battle droids, aren't they?
Yeah, pretty much. The only reason that they give the kids and, well, the underlings any trouble is because they're unarmed.
Yeah, it's one of those, though, where there are enough of them that it's nothing anyone ever wants to think about, but you can overpower these things, but you will take losses is the downside.
Yeah. And yeah, he falls into lava, and good riddance. It's in these episodes where Tech does the thing of, yes, I do feel for losing Echo, but we've not lost him. He's just doing his own thing right now.
Yeah, there's a big sit-down conversation between literally just Tech and Omega, and it's very well framed. I like it. It gives me similar vibes to... It's not quite as emotionally driven as the scene I'm going to bring up, but I feel like it hits the same beats and works in its own way, and that is the scene from She-Ra in Season 5, where Entraptor almost breaks down in tears in like, this is how I help.
Yeah.
Again, it's not quite got the same emotional impact, but it hits the same beats, it's got the same message, and I dig it.
Yeah, I think what makes it hit a little less hard is that these two are on the same side, and the only one with a grievance is Omega, whereas with Entraptor, everyone's got a grievance with her, and she's just doing her best to try and fit back in, you know?
But like I said, the same general vibe, same general message, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Like there's a saying that I've heard thrown around. I can't remember who it's attributed to, but it's been attributed to like several people, so I couldn't tell you which one it came from. But it's the age-old adage of don't mistake my lack of tears for a lack of grief.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, I think more people need to hear that from time to time.
Yeah, he doesn't process things the same way, but it doesn't mean he's not feeling anything.
Exactly. Don't be a dickhead to autistic people.
Yeah. The next one is where we really start to get the introduction of Dr. Hemlock.
Yeah, this guy is basically the in-universe. I can't even compare him to Mengele. It's not quite accurate, but he's on the same sort of wavelength, you know?
Yeah, he's more interested in the outcome of experiments than actually creating something like evil, awful, destructive, anything. He just wants to progress science, sometimes for its own benefit, or for its own sake, as it were.
But you can see the analog I'm sort of drawing in that a lot of his research revolves around clones, and
yes,
he's certainly not. Fuck me, it's the Nazis again, though, isn't it? Where he doesn't see the clones as people, so he can do what he wants with them, and like, how is like that not the same as one of the many scientists who did fucked up things during the Holocaust?
Yeah, his main thing with clones is they're Imperial property, therefore there's no harm in just reassigning Imperial property to me where I can use them as test subject. However, he is intrigued by Crosshair.
Intrigued only in the sense that he sees something unique in him, which is something that you're not supposed to have as a clone.
Yeah, the episode where he gets him to introduce one, Metamorphosis, it's a clone of something from way back in like season 2 of the Clone Wars.
Yeah, I fucking...
Zillow Beast.
This episode feels like filler, but the fact that it introduces Hemlock means that it just can't be.
Yeah, and we get more of Mount Tantis and his little lackeys.
Who's Mount Tantis?
Mount Tantis is the place that Thrawn takes control of in the Thrawn novel. It's the Imperial cloning facility.
Oh, fuck.
Doc Horror.
Fuck me. Okay, yeah. I misheard you. I thought you said Matt Tantis.
Oh, no. Mount Tantis.
So I was when I asked you who is it, that's why I was like, who the fuck's Matt Tantis? I don't remember this name. Oh, fucking hell, yeah.
There's another episode title. Who's Matt Tantis?
Oh, don't make me laugh.
And yeah, they recapture the beast, and it goes back to Mount Tantis, and it goes into a big old pod, and that's where it lives now. Next one we have the Outpost.
1 second, there is some very important information we end the episode on. In you know that cunt Prime Minister of Kamino?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, cool. So they bring him to the same place because they need to know how to convince. Is her name Nala Saya?
Yeah, there's Lamasu and Nala Say.
Yeah, Lana Say needs is basically the brains behind the cloning outfit, and they want her cooperation, and they can't get it, and they can't harm her because if she's dead, you know, it's worthless at that point. So they asked the previous Prime Minister how to make it work, and guess who gets revealed to Hemlock?
Yeah, they send Hemlock after Omega, or rather, he tells Hemlock about Omega, and Hemlock sends his goons after Omega.
Yeah! Now we're on to actually my favourite episode in the entire series.
Yeah, totally. The Outpost. So this is one where Crosshair gets assigned to a brand new commander who has never commanded anything. Crosshair outranks him. The commander at the base outranks him, and yet he still talks down to them as if they're equipped.
I mean, the guy's rank is lieutenant.
Yeah.
But because he is a human, or not a human, but, you know, a being from the galaxy, he wasn't made in a tube. That means, in his brain, he's naturally superior to every single clone he meets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he treats being womb-born as, like, +3 rank intrinsically.
Yeah, despite the fact all of these clones are clones of motherfucking Jango Fett.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This episode's fucking great, because, one, it reminds you how badass clones are, and two, I was screaming at my TV. Metaphorically, I don't actually scream at my TV. Whenever I say I scream at my TV, it's usually an internal screaming, because I'm not a fucking psychopath.
Yeah. Just an internal voice going, get him, get him, get him.
I was just like, Crosshair, my dude, you gotta fucking snap at this. And he did. And it was so fucking cathartic, because this guy was begging for a bullet the entire episode.
Yes. He pre-ordered that one-day Amazon shipping of bullet to head.
Yeah. So gone.
Mayday is Mayday just being a normal clone, but also one that's been here a long time, putting up with everything that he's put up with, which turns out to have been guarding a bunch of next generation stormtrooper armor, which he could have been using to outfit his gang to, you know, drive off the raiders and, you know, do his job rather than losing all of them.
Yeah, man.
That's kind of what breaks Mayday, and then Crosshair's like, okay, I'm now angry, and this is after Mayday and Crosshair have done the thing of Crosshair starts out as the callous one, and then he's the one that ends up bringing Mayday back to base just in time for him to die.
Yeah, the shift in motivation of Crosshair is something I expected at the end of episode 3. Now, bear in mind, we haven't seen Crosshair for 10 fucking episodes.
No. It was this is one of those where it's a lot easier to watch it once it's ended, because you can just go through these episodes and then see him soon enough. If you're watching this week to week, this was like a good couple of months.
Well, let's find out, shall we? Episode 3 aired on January 11th, 2023. Episode 12, The Outpost, aired March 8th, 2023. This was damn near 3 months after.
Yeah. But yeah, this is where Crosshair gets he's not so much a face turn as cementing that he's now able to choose the right decision.
Yeah, because it's one of those where he's always gone by the mantra of good soldiers follow orders, but he's always taken that to mean that the person given the orders knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
There's a plan that he can't see, and then having his fellow clone, who he has witnessed do everything he can to follow the order he has been given, only to be fucking tossed aside.
Yeah, it just shows him what happens to good soldiers who follow orders, and that's the snapping point.
For real, man, it's a hard watch, is what it is, because us as viewers knew that he was following orders under bad faith anyway. But obviously, Crosshair doesn't have all the information, and up until this point in his life, following orders has gotten him everywhere.
Yeah, totally.
It's a little hard to describe, to be honest, because you and I, we've never lived a life where we have to follow everything we've been told. You know, but you know, I think everyone's had someone who has ranked higher than them, whether it be usually in a workplace. Like, not everyone's a manager, and I think everyone's got stories where they've got managers who, I will listen to what this manager says because I know I know they know what they're talking about. I know they have an idea that needs to be implemented, and everyone needs to do their bit. And then you've got other managers who will tell you to do X, Y, Z, and you think, fucking why?
Yeah.
And then when you ask why, it's always a stupid fucking reason, and you're like, I'm gonna say I'm doing that because I can't be asked to have the argument, but I'm not doing that. It's a bad fucking parallel, but it's the only one I've got, okay?
Yeah, no worries.
We did have a fun scene, and I say fun rather loosely, of Crosshair standing on a mine and immediately realising he's on a mine, and he's like, fuck, this is it. And Mayday helps him out, except Mayday helps him out by using a bullshit method that might not work.
Yeah, and then he goes around a corner and says, okay, so wait till I'm around the corner before you take your foot off, and when you do it slowly. And Crosshair's like, oh, well, I thought you were confident in your methods. Like, yes, I am, but I'm not stupid.
Yeah. It's fucking great, because at the end of the day, it's still an explosive.
Yeah, I think this is their actual cemented bond moment.
Yeah, because Mayday could have just left him behind. In fact, Crosshair implied that if soldiers fall behind, they should be left behind.
Yeah, and Mayday says, "Remind me not to die on your watch."
Yeah.
And he does.
Well, yeah. It's the fact that final moment of Crosshair going, get him some medical attention, he can still make it. And he's just like, why? He didn't fulfill his job, which was a bullshit job in the first place, and everyone with half a brain could see it.
Yeah, and that's also not how medical care works. You don't deny medical care just because someone failed at a task.
Certainly not in the military.
No, but yeah. The next episode we have is the beginning of the New Home arc. We have Pabu.
Yeah, at this point, Sid is more or less cut out of the Bad Batch's life.
Yeah, she is very angry. She keeps sending them threatening voicemails.
Yeah, like, there's a thing later on in the series where I understand why they made the decision they made. However, I think everyone saw the ending to that coming.
Yes. It's one of those, if you give an inch, you'll have a mile taken off you. So if they'd have said to Sid, okay, you take all the money from this last job and we part ways, she still wouldn't have taken that because she wants more money.
Yeah.
She treats their substantial perpetual income as normal at this point. She lives to her means, which normally includes, expanding rather than consolidating.
Well, again, it's exactly what I said earlier, right? Of the problem with Sid is she gets money and she immediately fucking puts it straight back out because she's constantly got plans, and most of her plans are shit because...
Yeah.
You saying expanding rather than consolidating is pretty on point because she keeps putting her fingers in loads of pies when in reality she should really be, shoring up what she's already got. Because of the way she's been using the Bad Batch, she's never actually got a solid source of income outside of them. At least that's how the show frames it.
Yeah, because her bar is nearly always empty.
Yeah, apart from those two fucking jobbers.
Yeah.
I almost called them Jowers, and I'm pretty sure that's racist.
Yeah, that's a separate species. But yeah, we get the new place. Pabu is a big old mountain island. I assume Pabu is the name of the planet, and the mountain island is just a place on it, but,
I thought the island was called Pabu.
Well, it's one of those, locations are planets.
Well, here's the thing, right? We only ever see Pabu, as in the island, so therefore the whole planet might as well just be Pabu.
Yeah.
And here's a fucking thing that's fucking relevant to everyone ever who's lived in a fucking city, in that, hey, this sort of event hasn't happened in 20 odd years, so why bother keeping the safety equipment up to snuff? Here's fucking why!
Yes, so they built on what is meant to be super floodplain, as in when the tidal waves come, they come up to this point, and anything below that should not be built on, so they build on it. And nearly everybody dies because of it.
Yeah, and once again, Tech saving the fucking day, more or less. I wouldn't say single-handedly, because Hunter's more focused on saving Omega and her new friend, but Wrecker does his bit as well.
Yeah. I think this is one where Tech is teaching Omega how to fly the Marauder, and he gives this, long description of what he wants her to do, and she goes, the Tech turn! And he goes, I didn't call it the Tech turn, but I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah, it's a very cute moment. However, it happens in the next episode.
Okay.
Yeah, this one, Omega and her new friend go out onto the water in a little boat.
Yeah, and the tidal wave happens.
Yeah, Hunter needs to jump in the ship and do a quick fucking boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Technical term, don't you know?
We got Tipping Point. Echo reunites with them. He comes to Pabu. He tells them about some clones that need rescuing.
Doesn't this episode start with a shot on Crosshair?
I believe it does. I think it's where I forget her name. Is it Emery?
I don't fucking know.
The Patsy. Okay. Yeah, the lady scientist, I think, is called Emery.
Yeah,
Emery or something.
Yeah, Emery Carr is apparently her name.
She's the only one who asks if he'd prefer to be called Crosshair.
Yeah, so which, in hindsight, is quite a bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah. She's more concerned about his well-being than any of the other Imperials. She's uncomfortable when he's getting tortured, but she still does it because she's under orders.
Well, she's also the reason why Crosshair gets a chance to escape, and boy, does he do it. Well, he does a really good... In fact, don't they know they need to go here in the first place because of his coded message?
Yes. They know that they need to find Hemlock, but they don't know where it is, which is the whole point of the next episode.
Yeah, it's one of those where this place doesn't exist on any map.
Yeah.
And
it's like Camino.
Yeah, pretty much. The only reason why the Batch learn that there's a secret place... They don't even know it's called Mount Tannis. They just know there's a secret location where they're keeping a bunch of people, including Crosshair. In fact, isn't one of the reasons why they agree to Echo's mission mission because Omega straight up goes, well, we've got to help Crosshair.
Yeah, pretty much. I think it's one of those where they're pretty much all in agreement of, even if it is a trap, it's worth it just in case it's not.
Yeah.
Like, he's had all this time to try and spring a trap like this when he had more resources. Why wait until now?
Yeah.
Like, he let them go from the raft on Camino.
I mean, he helped them not die on Camino.
Yeah, like, he could have just stun-bolted any number of them and just kept them.
Yep.
But he didn't.
Well, again, I think it gets glossed over a lot. Crosshair's mission wasn't eradication of the Bad Batch. He wanted them to see his side of things and join him.
Yeah, he wanted them to join the Empire on their own volition.
Which, unfortunately, was never going to happen.
No. The other thing that happens in this episode, we get to see Hauser, who was, like, one of the clones in Series 1.
Yeah, who fucking kicked ass.
Yeah, he did. He got arrested and brought here for disobedience and subordination, and yeah. We get to see Tarkin.
I don't believe that's this episode.
He's only in a hologram, but he's like he sets up the next episode of saying, "Yeah, I need to speak to you. Come to the thing," and they go to the summit next episode.
I mean, is there anything else to discuss, or do you want to just? Apparently, Gregor also shows up in this episode. Oh yeah, Gregor's helping Echo at the beginning when they ambush the ship.
Yeah.
Gregor grows a bitchin' fucking beard later on, doesn't he?
I think so.
Or wait, hang on. Is Gregor the one that goes crazy? I know there's one trooper with Rex and Cody in Rebels who talks gibberish.
I'm just searching him up real quick.
Is that Gregor or am I crazy?
Oh yeah, he's the one that ends up like really old and bald and bitchin' beard.
Yeah, okay. I got one part right.
Yeah, he's when you meet him in Rebels, he's part of the gang with like Wolf and Rex.
I swear there's one in there who's fucking crazy.
He might be the crazy one.
Oh, it's been a minute.
Either him or Wolf.
It might be Wolf, but I don't remember Wolf from anything else. Gregor's the one who defected after trying to. He was teaching the stormtrooper replacements, and then just quickly realised, why the fuck am I doing this?
Yeah, why am I training my replacements who are going to earn more than me?
Well, that's just it, isn't it? Like it's actually explicitly implied then that the clone troopers didn't actually get paid during service.
Oh yeah, totally.
They didn't need to because they were kept in. If they weren't on the field, they were in barracks. Anyway, I digress. Next episode's fucking great, and I'm actually surprised about this. The finale, the last two episodes actually came out on the same day, which is weird considering the cliffhanger they bothered to have.
Yeah, but for people like me that don't always watch things when they come out, like when I watch it with my folks, we normally watch 2 episodes at a time, which sometimes works out perfectly. Sometimes we get one ahead, and sometimes we, because we're one ahead, we have to do a 3, or we only do a 1. Like towards the end, we there was a point where we had 5 episodes to go, so we made it so that I think one time we just did 1 episode, and then the last 2 in batches of 2, which was what we meant it to be. But I didn't tend to experience it in the week's worth of cliffhanger way that some of the episodes are set up at.
Yeah, but again, this episode 15 had a cliffhanger, but both episodes came out on the same day, so it didn't matter.
Yeah. So we got the summit. There's a bunch of villains just sat around the table,
including a very important one on the left.
Yeah.
I did. Okay, again, I'm not as big of a Star Wars nerd as you. I couldn't name this character, but big Star Wars nerds can just by looking at him because he dresses in a certain way.
Director Krennic.
Yeah, because I watch a certain reactor after I've watched shows, and he was like, "Is that so and so?" And I went, "How the fuck can you tell just by looking at a character, not even in real life?" Anyway, I digress. I am a big enough nerd that when they said Operation Stardust, I stopped for a second and went, "Isn't that the Death Star?"
Yeah, it is. Because apparently, originally, the Death Star was meant to be a mining thing, or that's what it was disguised as in development.
Well, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
The Dust Star, if you just reverse it, sounds like a mining thing, and then obviously got the Death Star. But Stardust is because the guy who designed it, which I think was Mads, used to call his daughter that.
Sure. Yeah, it would have been Mads Mikkelsen if we go by that film.
Yeah.
Who don't forget every fucking nerd who ever bitched about the fucking port that was just big enough for missiles to go down was an intentional flaw. So can we shut the fuck up about it?
Yep, it was retroactively intentional. He put it there so it could be destroyed.
Oh, I'm sorry, it just rustles my jimmies.
Yep. And yeah, the thing that gets the actual plot twist in this episode is not all about the bad guys doing bad guy stuff and having a bad guy luncheon. It's that the Bad Bat are infiltrating this place to get what they want, and turns out, oh yeah, certain things are already going wrong, like some of the cameras are already down.
Yeah, how long?
Saw Gerrera.
How long did it take you to clock that there was another rebel group doing shit, because it took me about 2 seconds, and I was like, I wonder who it is.
Yeah, like, I knew someone else was there. It could have been anyone, but yeah, it was Saw Gerrera and his partisans, who are pretty much the only active rebels at this point in time.
Yeah, he was a fucking early day rebel, wasn't he?
Yeah, this is like early days of the Empire, and Saw is young at this point.
Saw is so young, and I'm so not used to seeing him in this art style, that for a second, when he showed up, I was like, is that Saw? Is that cool crazy man?
Yeah, because when you see him as a cool crazy man in Rogue One, he's basically Darth Vader without a helmet.
Okay, a little bit, but...
Like, he's being kept alive by the machines that he's plugged into, because he's seen so much action and lost so much of himself.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Man, can I just say, I was really fucking upset with in Andor when I forget the fucking dickhead's name, but the guy who eventually recruits Andor at the end. What's his name? You know. Luthen, yeah. When he fucking revealed to Saw that, no, we can't go through with this plan now because we're sacrificing that rebel cell. And I think that's the first time Saw's ever even contemplated sacrificing people.
Yeah.
Because as we know from the time we get to Rogue One, he's well over it by that point, but... Which isn't that like, isn't, depending on, because we see the Death Star not far off from completion at the end, so it's like, it's either a week or a year between those two time points. We're not sure yet.
It's an unidentified amount of time.
But we know it's not very long.
Yeah, because the Death Star is very much armed and operational in Rogue One.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because the end of Rogue One is the beginning of Episode 4.
Yeah. It's fully armed and operational battle station.
But yeah, we finally get to the point you mentioned where they're like, Omega, go do stealth.
Yeah, Wrecker's just like sat behind a brick and he's like, oh, I can't get out over there. Omega, go do it for me.
Unfortunately, Rick's good at voices, but he very quickly devolves into Orc when he tries to do Wrecker.
Yeah. Well, Wrecker's just an Orc.
He doesn't sound that much like it. Like, you got the right sort of inflection, but you go full on fucking kill the Humies.
It's difficult to do Kiwi at the same time as Orc, so it just ends up being Cockney instead.
Is the voice actor Kiwi? Because it's not Tim Morrison in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, it's not Tim Morrison, but he tries to put it on. He's D. Bradley Baker, and let's see.
Just while Rick looks up what he does, so I can fill a bit of time, he voices...
he's American.
Ah, fair enough. He voices all of the clones, including Clone Force 99. So this might as well be the fucking Baker show.
Yeah.
I wonder if he gets paid more because he voices 95% of the cast.
Maybe so. He's also Klaus in American Dad.
Well, the fucking German goldfish.
Yes.
I can kind of hear it.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't have put two and two together, but you saying it makes me go, a little bit.
Yeah, totally.
Anyway, yeah, we get the cute moment where a mouse droid finds Omega just as she's about to leave, and the even cuter moment of Wrecker slamming on it with his foot and going, oops!
Yeah. Because they've been pretty good at stealth until that point, and then Wrecker just does the barbarian saving throw for stealth of killing the thing that spots you.
Yeah. Oh.
But yeah, they end up not being able to get a tracker on on Hemlock's ship.
Hold on one second. Technically speaking, they succeed. Saw Gerrera fucks it for them.
Yeah. He unsucceeds on their behalf, yeah.
But silver lining, that means Saw succeeded.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
And also he gets this great thing where, I don't think it comes up, but I believe Eriadu is Tarkin's back garden.
Yes.
So all of the blame gets put on Clone Force 99 because they're the guys that get seen and spotted, which means I combined his last and first name and I ended up getting the Kingdom Hearts protagonist. Fucking Sora. Could you imagine a stare down between Sora and Grand Moff Tarkin?
Yes.
Just like, you can't let the darkness overwhelm your heart. You may fire when ready.
Fucking... Instead of the Death Star, Tarkin's just like firing death beams out of Kingdom Hearts.
Yes, book it. I'm going to find a fan artist and I want to commission that. I'm doing it. Rick, write that down right now. I'm fucking looking for someone. I want it. Oh, that's such a good idea. Oh, I'm going to look that up when we finish the podcast and see if it's been done. And if not, I've got to pay someone.
You made Darkness win ready.
Oh, fuck me. That's such a good idea.
Hey, and Disney can make it happen.
No, I don't want Star Wars in my Kingdom Hearts. But let's not look at Xehanort from Kingdom Hearts 2. But oh, that's such a fun idea. Oh, fuck. Who needs a battle station? He just got the Emperor in the shadows going, good.
Man, what would happen if the Emperor got naughted?
Now, what do you mean
Probably
by that?
nothing. Like, is it when when Xehanort tries to possess people? Like,
oh, I think the Emperor would win is the thing. I don't think Xehanort could do it just because Palpatine's that much better than Xehanort.
Yeah, he's been a dickhead his entire life, and Xehanort's trying to invade a body that Palpatine is very happy in.
Yeah, no, Palpatine's like, fuck off, mate. Oh, god damn it. Oh.
You're now food for the dark side of the Force. So then we get into the last episode, Plan 99.
Yeah.
They go back to Ord Mantell, and Sid is very shifty.
Hang on. You got to bear in mind the division happened here, where the start of the episode is where Plan 99 happens, and Tech sacrifices himself for the good of the team.
Is that the start of the episode? I thought it was the end.
No, it's the start of episode 16.
Okay,
The end of episode 15 is the rail car is having problems, and they sort of cut it off before the fighting starts. And then the next episode is, again, we get the cementation of Tarkin reminding us that he's evil through and through, because he gives the order of send the fighters in and destroy them, and it's like, sir, our soldiers will get caught in the crossfire. Did I fucking stutter?
Yep. Did I stutter? Who gives a shit? Do it. Yeah. Tech does his real MVP moment of he's fixing the thing, and he needs to be left behind.
It's worse than that.
Rather, he leaves himself behind.
Yeah, he shoots upwards to dislodge the damaged part of the trail car, and then he ends up falling down. And everyone's upset, most of all Amiga, because this is the first time I think she's had to think about death.
Yeah, because everyone else who's left has just left. This is the first time someone that she knows and cares about actually dies.
Yeah, and let that sink in for a minute, because she's killed a few people herself.
Oh yeah, totally.
But they're bad guys, and I don't know them, so it doesn't matter.
Like, actually.
Yeah, and they end up in a massive rail car crash at the end there. Everyone's super fucking wounded. It actually looks quite bad for Amiga, and it's one of those where, because of the nature of the show, you're like, Amiga's fine, but fuck, for a second, I had like actual paternal pangs of, oh, please don't be dead.
Yeah.
But yeah, they end up with their backs against the wall. They've got nowhere they can really go, because I assume Parbu is just too far away, and/or lacks the equipment they need. So yeah, they throw in their lot. They take their chances with Sid, and as soon as they said they were going to Sid, I was like, okay, I now know what the ending's going to be.
Yes. So when they get there, Sid's looking so shifty that even Wrecker notices.
Yeah, that's a fucking red flag right there.
Yeah. If your barbarian notices you being shifty, then you've rolled pretty bad on your deception check.
I think here's the problem. Sid looks shifty because she knows her act is the ultimate act of cowardice.
Yeah, and I don't think she actually says anything after that point. All she does is just hang her head.
She does say something. I can't remember it is, but it is basically the effect of, "Listen, you fucked me."
Yeah.
But she says it in that way, in that even she doesn't believe it.
Yeah. It's more a case of, you weren't allowing me to fuck you, more than anything else. And she needed to get rich quick somehow, and selling out the only people that she can trust was the only way, apparently.
Yeah, and as she gets paid, Hemlock just goes, "Cool, our business is concluded. Fuck off."
Mm-hmm.
The thing I'm most surprised from here is Hemlock is a fucking dirtbag, but he does appear to have some sort of code, in the sense that he lets Sid walk away.
Yeah.
Because almost every other high-ranking member of the Imperium I can think of. Imperium? Where the fuck are we? Empire.
Well, just a shotter, yeah.
Would have just gone, cool, bang, job's done. But he just goes, you've given me what you promised, here is your money, get the fuck out the bar, because I've got to deal with this now.
Yeah, either they would have shot her or just imprisoned her on probably legitimate charges, because, she's not exactly an upstanding citizen.
Nah, they would have shot her.
Yeah.
She has no value as a prisoner.
No, but it does show how petty they are if they just take her in off the back of a tip that they're benefiting from.
I suppose, but anyway.
I think that is a point, actually. This show showing that not only does he have his own internal morals, but Hemlock also doesn't care about the Empire's proceedings as long as he gets to do what he wants.
Yeah, I suppose you could look at it like that, indeed.
When given the choice to be lawful or evil, he chooses evil.
I guess. But I'd argue the opposite, because, again, he chose lawful here by just paying the money he agreed to as opposed to having her killed.
Sure.
You know? But anyway, we get this where Hunter's ready to throw fucking hands. Unfortunately, Wrecker is a prisoner, so...
Yep.
And also emotional damage by, this is all we could recover.
Yep. Omega is going through the sewers and eventually ends up on a balcony and able to, get into a sniping position. But Hemlock has predicted this.
It's also not sewers, it's vents.
Well, yeah, vent and all that. Hemlock has predicted this, possibly due to the fact that he got the tip-off from Sid and probably knows the area thanks to Sid telling him.
I actually interpreted it as that Hemlock has such an understanding of clones, despite Clone Force 99 being a bit unique in the sense of how they were developed. He still knows the way they think enough to know that baiting this trap would trigger this reaction, and then because he's meant to be somewhat of a tactical, I wouldn't say genius, but tactically inclined, he probably could guess from the lay of the land, which you're correct, he probably got from Sid, that that's probably where she'll be. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised, given the amount of force he brought to the planet, that he had troops everywhere anyway.
Yeah, there's probably 120 more Stormies that we don't see in places that he also anticipated as potential exit points.
I mean, he had several ATSTs.
Yes.
Which, by the way, Echo commandeered one, and as soon as they saw it come round the corner and not shoot them, Wrecker and Hunter are both like, that's probably Echo.
Yep. Hemlock's real emotional damage is that he's found Tech's goggles.
Oh, yes, that's what we were referencing to earlier.
Yeah, this is all we could recover. So, that's clearly a lie.
Yeah, you and I had a real... as soon as you finished the episode, I went, I think there's a real 50-50 chance that Tech's still alive. But not least because this is Star Wars, and 9 out of 10 characters fucking come back from the dead anyway.
Yeah, he would have been able to recover more than just goggles.
Yeah, in fact, later on when we...
Unless we don't see what's beneath the cloud line. He could have washed away to shore or something, depending on what's actually below the cloud.
He could have done, but because of the final scene with Crosshair in the location that he is, and the fact we see other clones but not close or in detail, I think he's on one of Hemlock's tables near Crosshair.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just my guess, and it's not a unique guess to me. A lot of people have been floating around theories, but that's the one I lean towards most.
Yep.
But yeah, shall we get to that final scene with Omega and what happens?
Yeah, Omega willingly goes to let the others go, and
Hemlock proves he's a bastard by... No, she doesn't willingly go. She gets knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, she wants to willingly go, but the others won't let her, and then she gets knocked out.
No, it's not even that. It's not even that. She doesn't offer her to go willingly. She draws her bow, and when Hemlock doesn't budge, then she gets knocked out. She never seems willing to go, you know?
Fair.
And also Hunter and Wrecker are both like, don't trust him.
Yeah. Don't trust him. Yeah. But yeah, she ends up with Hemlock guys, including, I've forgotten already,
Amiri Carr.
Yeah, and Amiri goes, oh yeah, I'm a clone of you.
Well, it's very unclear, isn't it? Because as far as we're aware, the only people given the acceleration formula was the Bulk clones and the Bad Batch. But apparently they made another female clone and decided to give her acceleration, unless there is loads of other clones named Emery Carr running around that we've not seen. But this is a hell of a fucking revelation.
I seem to remember there being at least another one who looks a bit like her.
I didn't watch all of Clone Wars. I never saw anyone like Omega in the ones I have seen.
No, what I mean is, didn't Hemlock have 2 Emiris at one point?
I don't remember. I only remember the one.
I could be misremembering. I seem to remember him being flanked by 2 female scientists at one point, and only one of them is the one that we actually interact with, and that's the Emiri that we know. But yeah, Emiri takes her goggles off, and doesn't actually make much of a difference because she's a different age to Omega. But yeah, she just straight up says, "Yeah, I've got the same DNA as you."
Yeah, I don't.
I'm sorry. We're from the same. Well, we're cut from the same cloth.
Yeah, it's one of those where I don't think Emery. Emery, that's a different person. Amiri looks like an older Omega, so I never connected the dots until she was very outright with it.
Yeah, and basically saying it's ironic that you'll trust Hemlock and not me.
You're completely incorrect. What happens is Omega wants to see Nala Se, and
the Kaminoans, sorry.
Yeah.
You'll trust the Kaminoans and not me.
Because Omega's not fucking stupid enough to trust Hemlock of all people.
Yeah. My bad, sorry. It was Nala Se.
Yeah. You got to bear in mind, though, I don't blame Omega for trusting Nala Se, because Nala Se has... Granted, we haven't seen what Omega's upbringing's like, but it's safe to assume that Nala Se did the bulk of the work in it, and we've seen from other sources that Nala Se's number one priority for most of the post-Clone Wars stuff has been to keep Omega safe, going so far as to hire Fennec Shan to fight Cad Bane.
Yeah. But yeah, this is the cliffhanger that we ended with on for the entire series.
Yeah, we see Hunter and Echo and Wrecker in the ship, and Hunter saying, "We get her back," and that's all he says, and that's all he fucking needs to say. I fully expect next season to be him somehow hooking up with Cody.
Yeah.
Because I think it's pretty clear that Cody, and probably Rex even as well, even though they're independent factions at the moment, are both looking to free the clone troopers. They just don't know where they are.
Yeah, they've got a full-on clone railroad going at the moment now, haven't they?
Boy, that's a grim way of putting it, but you're not wrong.
Yeah, because they're just property as far as Hemlock's concerned, and the Empire at large.
Yeah.
Like, the only people that see them as human beings is basically Senator Chuchi.
Clone troopers and anyone who's worked with clone troopers, because don't forget, during the big secret meeting, there was that other chap, that other Imperial, who was deemed important enough to be at this big dick meeting, and when talking about decommissioning clones, he was straight up saying, "I fought with clones and they're pretty good people," and Tarkin straight up said, "I also fought with clones and they're shit."
Yeah.
And unfortunately, guess who's winning in that fucking argument with the Emperor?
Yeah, it's the person whose house it is at this table, and it's the person who sucks up to the Emperor very hard.
Let's hammer that point home, by the way, in that both Saw Gerrera and Clone Force 99 managed to take a shit on Tarkin's doorstep, and that is an impressive fucking feat. And also,
it is.
I can't imagine the Clone Force 99 is going to get much reprieve from the Empire with Tarkin gunning for them, because that's embarrassing, is what Tarkin's going to see that as.
Yeah, as much as Hemlock is now our main villain, Tarkin is actually possibly
a bigger threat.
A bigger threat to them personally based on the resources that he has. Hemlock would probably rather spend any resource that he has on things that he already has.
Well, case in point, like the only reason he even fucked with Clone Force 99 is because he wanted Omega, because he needs Omega to bargain with Nala Se.
To make more clones, yeah.
But don't forget, they're not making more clones, because, well, they are making more clones. It's cloning tech they're using.
Just not of the same thing, yeah.
Yeah, here's what it is. It's almost entirely safe to assume that the thing we're looking for is going to be what they used for the sequels, in that Palpatine wants a clone of him perfectly that he can jump into when his body grows useless. And the reason why I assume it's this is because Nala Se straight up says to Hemlock that, okay, you have the bargaining chip, you have Omega, I don't want Omega hurt. The thing you're asking for is impossible.
Yeah, because they at this point they can't clone the Force, and that's what they're trying to do, and it's what eventually succeeds in the end of Mando.
Yeah, and that's 20 years away, 30 years away.
Yeah, minimum.
I don't know.
Minimum 25.
Well, let's see, 19 years before the Battle of Yavin, because Luke's 0.
Yeah, Luke is 0. So it's however long away Luke's age is in
Jedi.
Yeah.
Plus,
well, no,
in Mandalorian,
in
Mando, which is
in Mandoverse,
which is like
Book of Boba,
which is like what, another 10 years, maybe 15.
Yeah, he's something like 28 or something. Yeah,
28 years from Mando and Jedi.
Nah. So it's like 5 years. So
Luke aged a lot in 5 years, bud.
Yes, he did. Yeah,
not just Luke, but Boba as well. But at least Boba has the excuse of being in a Sarlacc pit for most of it.
Well, the main reason is because they hired the actor who, time makes fools of us all, and the actor aged.
Yeah, except we didn't see the actor for Boba Fett.
Yeah, fair enough.
In Return of the Jedi, it was a white dude.
Yeah, with a mustache.
I was so sad when I fucking watched... Oh, we're going to get to it when we watch it. Fuck it, I can say it, because this comes out... No, it doesn't. Fuck it, I'm going to fuck with the timeline a bit. I'm really fucking disappointed that they dubbed over the OG Boba Fett voice with Tamura Morrison. And not to knock Morrison, but it's because I had an argument with my brother at one point where he said... he talks like this, and he did an impression of Tamura's voice, who is New Zealand as fuck. And I went, he doesn't sound like that at all. And then he showed me the clip and I went, they fucking changed that, because I swear in the original he didn't. Well, couldn't have sounded like that. They hadn't met him yet.
Yeah. It's the same as they put the old Palpatine in. It was just like a woman's eye, a woman's lower jaw, and an ape's eyes.
Yeah, it looked fucking scary in the original, man.
Yeah, and then they just replaced it with Ian McDiarmid, which
is fine. I get it for continuality's sake, but fucking leave it alone, George.
That's a subreddit.
Oh god.
r/ leave it alone, George.
Like, fuck a doodle dandy though. You know what I mean? There's loads of changes he made, and even after Disney acquired it, he was still making fucking changes.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yep. I think it's about time to get down to our wrap up. So, from The Bad Batch Season 2, do you have a favourite moment?
There's a lot of highlights, and there's a lot of low points. I think my personal highlight was because it was so fucking satisfying, and I know they were building out to it the entire fucking episode, but I was still like, the endorphins I got from the moment itself cannot be easily replicated, and that was Crosshair murking that motherfucker.
Absolute ditto. Like, mine is exactly the same thing, and it's what I had earmarked for a favourite moment before we even started the this podcast. So yeah, there's no argument that is possibly the most impactful scene in The Bad Batch so far.
As far as impactful goes, I think being separated from Omega actually being kidnapped properly is pretty damning. If only because Omega's not actually been separated from the Batch for more than an episode.
Yes.
But I get you. It's an impactful moment. It's an important moment, and fuck, I loved it.
Since I've basically wanted to pick the same thing, I'm going to fall back on my backup though of Palpatine just showing up and getting shit done.
Yeah, you know what? It came out the blue because I wasn't expecting it. I didn't expect the good guys to win because we know they don't win as far as clone troopers go. But Emp's just fucking showing up and being like, this was my backup plan and you fucking fell for it.
Yep, everything has been proceeding according to my design. I think his normal statement.
Yeah. And like, what was it? I think even the Bad Batch even says when they get back to the ship, like, the bastard, they didn't say bastard because they can't, but like, he was 5 steps ahead.
Yeah, totally.
Again, like, it's easy to shit on the Emperor because he doesn't really do much, because what you see is him sitting around and yucking it up more often than not. But he is playing on such a strategic field that most people can't match him.
Yeah, totally. He's playing 5D chess when other people are playing Snap.
That's a great analogy. I love it. And you've also got to remember, even without the Emperor, even without that in mind, his top level guys are all doing their jobs well, because I don't think he's actually got Thrawn yet, but in a couple years' time, Thrawn joins the fucking team.
Yes.
You know, and he's even before Thrawn, he's got Tarkin. It's not a strategic element, but as his enforcer, he's got Vader, and Vader's a pretty good fucking stick to whack people with.
I think he does already have Thrawn, because I think Thrawn does meet Anakin and connects the dots.
Yeah, but Thrawn isn't. I don't think Thrawn officially joins the Empire at this point. Well, maybe.
Sure, okay.
Maybe he has. I don't know. The timeline's a bit fucky, but I think we're too soon into the Empire, because he might be. You know what? He might have had his meeting with Palps, and he might be in the Imperial Officers Academy at this point.
Yeah, because he's like a fully trained chess officer. I think he's already bumped elbows with the Old Republic, right, definitely, and possibly with the Empire at this point as well. Like, I think there's a point where essentially he gets exiled, in inverted commas, as a way to get him out of Chiss Ascendancy space and give him a reason to join the Empire as an open double agent. But it's for the Ascendancy and the Empire, which are basically on the same page in terms of eliminating threats.
Yeah, because, correct me if I'm wrong, because Thrawn is not my expertise. I've read one comic. So, but isn't Thrawn's big deal, and is it the Chiss you said?
Yeah.
Isn't their deal that, by the way, there's something coming, we don't know what it is, but we need to fucking deal with it, and we need a unified force to do it.
Yeah, we need to be ready for it, whatever it is, and whenever it is.
So it's one of those where it doesn't matter to them who's in charge of the Empire as a whole, as long as the Empire is on board with dealing whatever the fuck this thing is.
And able to supply bodies and guns.
Which, hey, guess what? It's one of those where it doesn't matter how evil a character is, the underlying factor has to be that, why are you defending the galaxy? Because I fucking live in it.
Yes.
It's all well and good being the person on the top, but what's the point in being on the top with the Empire's rubble?
Yeah, totally.
And then you got the inverse that of the good guy version of that, where I think it's in Guardians of the Galaxy 1, where Rocket goes, why do you care, Quill? Because he's going to take over the planet, and I'm living on the planet.
Yep. Man, another little tangent, but like a lot of the time when there was a threat in the expanded universe, a lot of the time people would just come up with, I wonder how the Empire would have dealt with this and how long this would have gone on. And then Wedge Antilles goes at one point, yeah, we fought them we're fighting them with the New Republic. What we need to do is fight them with the Rebel Alliance.
Oh, that's a good one.
And then he goes, and then Tycho, which is like his number 2, goes, I got a better idea. You do that. I'm going to fight them with the Empire. And then they make this fake super weapon.
Okay.
And like the viewer is even bamboozled by it because like they make like this modified Y-wing that's meant to be like a mini super laser, but it needs like multiple different ships to be all in position. And they put up the charade multiple times, whereas what they're actually doing is hitting it with a normal set of like torpedoes from something that's stealth.
That's really fucking dumb.
But they put up the charade, so they turn this like one Y-wing into a super bait that looks like a super weapon, and it like commands a load of attention, and they can just win while they're doing that.
In the business, we call that a Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
we created this enemy that we can't have the guys deal with regularly because we made them too big dick strong. Okay, pull out the secret super weapon.
Yep. But the super weapon's fake.
Doesn't matter if it still does the job of always beating the thing, then it might as well fucking be real.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But yeah, that's it. That's enough tangents. Do you have a weakest link?
I do have a weakest link, but it's one of those weakest links that's not a real weakest link, you know?
Yeah, totally.
We brought it up on the episode, but there was a distinct lack of crosshair, which I'm going to call my weakest link, but at the same time, I think it made everything much more impactful because of it.
Yeah, I feel you.
Like,
I feel you totally.
I'm going to once again use the term old age adage of we can't miss you if you don't go away, and I missed Crosshair.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Like, even though we get to see him and Havoc Squad don't, we have to bear in mind that Havoc Squad very definitely don't see him at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the closest they get is, he got to speak to Cody, so if they speak to Cody, then they're like 1 degree of separation away from each other.
Yeah, Cody's just fucking AWOL. We don't know where he's gone. We know he's doing something, but we don't know what specifically.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those where, again, I don't think it's a real weakest link because I think it fit the narrative they wanted to tell. It fit the overall plot, but I really, every time Crosshair's not on screen, everyone should be asking, where's Crosshair?
Where's Poochie?
I'm glad you, I mean, you never disappoint, Rick, but I'm glad you got it. But yeah.
When it comes to The Simpsons, or like at least the first 6, 7, 8, 9 seasons of The Simpsons, I'm pretty on the ball with it.
Which is great because that's the only Simpsons I've got in-depth knowledge of. So, but yeah, what about you, Rick? Do you have a weakest link for us?
Yeah, it's a similar one that it followed the narrative, and they didn't know that it was a filler episode, and they didn't know what had come before it. But the fact that the fillers were so very obvious.
Yeah, I get you, man.
I'd say the big ones: Faster, Entombed, and Metamorphosis, being the ones that I can think of straight away. Like even Tribe was a bit fillerish because it was just do the thing, done, gone. Like you get to see a Jedi, cool.
Yeah, you know what? On that note, I'll also say surprising lack of cameos in this series.
Yeah, so
I don't consider that a bad thing because I even fucking mentioned it when we spoke about Boba Fett, in that I was fucking sick of everything being remember this, you know.
Yeah, it's just a full series of member berries. But yeah, I think their cast is solid enough right now that they don't really need cameos, because most of what they're doing is it's like Clone Wars season 10 and 11.
Yeah, pretty much, man.
So yeah, they're just focused on mostly the one squad. Sometimes a little bit different, but normally just the one squad. In fact, I think we just had that one episode in season 1, the Hauser episode, didn't? And it just didn't deal with the bat at all.
Well, you say that, but the batch did show up, so
sure.
I get what you're going for, though.
Yeah. So yeah, my weakest link is that feel obvious. But we don't like to end on a sour note, despite the fact that neither of us were that sour on the sour. What would you say, or who would you say, is your MVP this time round?
My MVP is Gonki. Nah, not really. My MVP is Omega. Of course, it's going to be Omega. I'll be honest with you. It's because every single emotional scene that was meant to have impact, I couldn't give a fuck about until I saw Omega's in-universe reaction, and then it tugged at my heartstrings, and they played me for a sucker, and it worked.
Yeah, just when it says in the script, Omega looks sad.
You're not even wrong, and that's the thing that really winds me up about myself, because I don't know if I've always been on the sappy side of things, but I don't know, in recent years, stuff like this just hits me a bit harder for some fucking reason.
Yeah, like the number of times where I'm trying to just roleplay and I'm just tearing up because I can't get it out. Man, it sucks when you're invested in the story and it makes your emotions run, doesn't it?
It does, because it's also hard to take the piss out of the moments.
Yeah.
It's like, I brought it up. I didn't really give a fuck about Echo leaving the squad because, Echo's leaving to do greater good, basically. But then Omega doesn't understand why Echo's going, and Omega's tearing up, and it's a goodbye, and she goes to, quote-unquote, her room and hugs her bunny, and I'm like, don't fucking do this to me, Star Wars. You're meant to be my fun, happy show about fucking stupid monks in space with laser swords. Stop fucking hitting me in the heart.
Yeah.
But yeah, how about you? Do you disagree? Do you agree? What's going on?
So I was torn between giving it to Omega and giving it to Tech. It felt weird giving it to Tech because it felt like his importance was upplayed and a little bit forced to a degree. Yes, everything he did was legitimate, but to be a little bit different, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it to D. Bradley Baker, because without him, we wouldn't have the cast.
That's so fucking cheating. It's like, I want to thank the person who voices everyone, because technically the show wouldn't exist without them. Yeah, no shit.
Yeah. So, but here's the thing, like, because he does so many of the characters, and like he needs to put different inflections on different characters to make them feel like different characters. It's not as obvious with normal, regular clones.
You know what? I do acknowledge that, because Hunter is the one who sounds most like a regular clone. And if I didn't know better, I would have said all 5 members of the batch were voiced by different people.
Yeah.
I tell a lie. Hunter doesn't sound the most like a regular clone. Echo does. But...
Yeah, for good reason. Because he was one.
But it's one of those where... Okay, we make it no secret that you and I play D&D, Rick.
Yes.
I'm not nowhere near as talented in the voice work department as you are. I'm not ashamed to say that. You're good at what you do. I can't do accents. I can do funny voices, but I can't do them for long periods of times because I make myself laugh. So what I have to resort to when DMing is I just have to change the style in which I'm talking rather than actually changing my voice. So there is, all that to say is, there is a heavy amount of envy I am feeling right now. Perhaps jealousy. I forget the technical, which one's which, one's you want something someone else has, the other one is you're afraid someone will take something away from you. I just forget which way round it falls. But yeah, I'm incredibly jealous / envious of his ability to do these voices, because again, I would never have been able to tell you that Wrecker and Crosshair were voiced by the same guy.
And also Perry the Platypus.
That doesn't count, he doesn't talk. That's just, I can make a sound effect.
Yeah, although Klaus does.
Klaus does.
It's just a German accent, yeah.
Yeah, and again, you bringing up Klaus specifically, it's like, yeah, I can kind of hear it, but I wouldn't have guessed if you didn't tell me.
Apparently he was the original Space Jam's Daffy Duck and Taz.
Okay, Taz, sure, because that's just... But Daffy Duck, okay, that's impressive. But again, we've already... Can we not bring up more roles he's done? Have we not praised him enough? Sir, what is it, David Lee Bradley? What?
Yeah.
Tell me his name again.
D. Bradley Baker.
D. Bradley Baker, you're good at what you do. You brought life to this entire colourful cast of characters, and we thank you for it. You rightly get MVP alongside Omega the character.
Yep.
We satisfied? Are we happy? Have we sucked his dick enough?
Oh, yeah. Down to the base. So, if you like the episode, you've got the comment section down below on YouTube, and if you're listening via one of the many audio platforms, you have the email address to which you can send messages. Where would they send such a message?
nonsensereviewuk@gmail.com. Once again, that is nonsensereviewuk@gmail.com. Now, it will be cut out of the episode, but there was a bit of a pause after Rick's intro segue and me talking, because I had to try not to laugh, because I don't know why, but Rick managed to salvage it, but it sounded like he was flubbing.
Yes, I added a syllable that shouldn't have been there.
So there was me just trying not to laugh on mic, and then I was just like, I do a lot of editing work, guys, and yes, we are going to do this as the outro, because fuck it, no one gets this far. Where Rick is a constant professional when he doesn't need to be, because I know I can cut stuff out. So whenever Rick flubs, I piss myself laughing 9 times out of 10. And then you got it, whenever I flub, immediately go, I'm doing that again. And Rick, a constant professional, completely stonewalling my fuck up.
Yeah, I'll just restart as if you've not, because, that's how the episode's meant to flow.
And then I just burst into giggles because I'm a child.
Man, Man, I actually got a tweet recently for my voice work in A Fox in Space, and it's my first fan tweet.
Yay!
So I have my first fan. Yay. But yes, thank you all, everyone. If you made it this far, you are a favourite person, despite the fact that we know you probably won't make it this far. But if you do, cool. See you later, everyone.
Yeah, we all know you clicked off in 10 minutes, but we love you anyway. Thanks for watching, guys. Keep yourselves safe and keep yourselves happy.
Bye.